I really miss comedy Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many good scenes with him.
Everyone remembers when they quote this movie, "There's no crying in baseball."
Yes.
And that's a great scene, but my favorite is the follow-up later in the movie when he has to chastise the same character because he made the same mistake again, and his face trying to control his rage because he's like, I need a different approach, and that's good salesmanship. You know, I need to drop the ladder and take a different, or drop the rope, take a different approach to how I confront her. But you can see him seething.
If you talk to someone who maybe didn't grow up in this time period, they might not know that Tom Hanks was a really good comedic actor up until, I would say, this movie. Because I think this movie is kind of like the dividing line between dramatic Tom Hanks and comedic Tom Hanks, which is back before this, and that's more like Joe versus the Volcano and even Dragnet. Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Buy me a penis and a cracker named Jack. I don't care if I ever smoke crack. That's a weird song.
What?
root for the home team.
Is that how you envision that song?
I'm pretty sure those are the exact words.
You're pretty sure those are the words.
I've been watching baseball my whole life. I can't imagine getting it wrong for comedy purposes.
I mean,
that would be a waste of everyone's time.
In this room right now, John really is the only person I could point to and say, like, is this a legit thing in baseball? Because I don't follow any sports. Any of them. So, John, I'm relying on you to tell me if this is a legit thing.
Well, this is going. It's gone. It's sports month. And Brian, I have to say, the movies that I picked for sports month, I thought about you in mind because I didn't want to go so deep on movies that are really ingrained in the sport. I wanted to pick. I
appreciate that.
Yeah, I picked things that I thought, like, it doesn't matter if you're not a sports fan. You probably like these movies because they're either funny or they're human interest things or they're about other things. So I hope I did a good job coming out the gate here with A League of Their Own.
I was going to say, do you want to go through what ones we're covering during Sports Month? Do you want to hit them?
So let me see. Let me make sure I remember now. We got A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
And we have I, Tonya.
Yep.
Rocky.
That's it.
And, okay.
We're doing
too bad.
We did three. We did initially have another one, but scheduling things kind of derailed stuff.
Yeah. The fourth one would have been to let us know if you want to pay us to do it. It's a bonus episode. Yeah, you give us human monies to do it as an episode. The Natural, which is really more about it's more about the classic, mythology of like Sword in the Stone than it is about baseball. So that's why I picked that one. It's not really a baseball story.
I think what ended up happening was like we realized that my birthday episode like comes right at the tail end of Sports Month, so it ended up like mashing together in a way where they're like, do we really go from Sports Month to what Brian's movie is going to be? Which I'm not going to spoil it yet.
Well, Brian's is going to have us do Hoosiers.
Totally. That was totally going to be my episode. But yes, we are talking this week about the 1992 film A League of Their Own, directed by Penny Marshall. And no, I'm not talking about the 20, I think it was like 2024, or no, I think it was 2022 or 2023 series that was produced. I like to point this out, John. It was made right here in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. So if you go on Amazon Prime, you can watch it because I think it's still up there. They just never made a season 2 out of it because of the writer's strike that happened back then. But I know a lot of people that we all know that work in the film industry in town that worked on that show, and definitely go check it out because it was really good. I don't know, John, did you see the series A League of Their Own?
I did see a little bit of it, too. And it speaks to the lasting power of this movie. Again, don't have to be a sports person. And I have to call myself out, and this is probably why my dad was such a drinker. When this movie came out, it came out the same weekend as another movie. And my sister and I both grew up. She played softball. I played baseball. She was good. I wasn't. but that's neither here nor there. But she really wanted to see A League of Their Own, a movie about baseball, about women. And that same weekend, Three Ninjas came out, and my poor father had to take me to see Three Ninjas while my mom and sister were off seeing a good movie. So maybe that's why that.
Hey. Three Ninjas is awesome. I don't care what anyone fucking says.
Shine some light on this.
All I know is Rocky loves Emily.
Who doesn't love Emily?
But I'm just saying, Rocky loves Emily. We all know that. If you're a millennial in your 40s, you know exactly what I just said, and you know it, and it's somewhere I triggered in your brain that dormant memory of chowing down on Little Caesar's pizza, watching Three Ninjas. But this episode isn't about that. It's about.
Well, I have to say one other thing about Three Ninjas is, and we'll leave it, is that fucking bedroom they had is the coolest childhood bedroom in the history of movies.
It was pretty badass. It was pretty badass. Anyways.
Yeah.
Do we want to get to a little synopsis straight from IMDb? All right, and I will do this in my movie theater voice, not doing the Jar Jar Binks voice because we don't have another guest. And sorry, John. You're a regular here. Like I'm not going to impress you. Oh man! All right. During World War II, sisters Dottie and Kit join the first female professional baseball league and struggle to help it succeed amid their own growing rivalry. Which I gotta ask you, just kind of first thoughts on this. John, would you call this movie Sibling Rivalry, the movie?
You know, I don't think it's completely fair, because this is kind of more of like an Altman character piece. Like everybody gets, their camera, like Madonna gets her time, Rosie O'Donnell gets her camera time in there, like in character time. And obviously Tom Hanks, you could argue, is just as much the lead as Gina Davis is. And yeah, it's all built on the foundation of, because they're the first people we meet. Yeah. They're, on the farm when John Lovitz comes and is doing his best John Lovitz impression to to bring them into the baseball league. So yeah, I would say it's that, but I think it's so much more. I forgot how really good this movie was till I rewatched it last night in preparation. This is a really good movie.
It's a solid film, but like one thing that just hit me over the head, I'm like, I guess I never really noticed it so much when I saw this initially as a kid, because this was one of those movies that always played on HBO. And how much the story does hinge on this sibling rivalry. Like through middle of the movie, it kind of goes away a little bit, but then it pops back up towards kind of like the climax of the film. But almost from the start, there is this competition that occurs between Gina Davis and Kit. And Kit is Lori Petty, which I got to say, I'm not used to seeing Lori Petty in non-punk rock gear.
I was like, not in a tank? Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, if you look at her now, she is still rocking like the punk rock hairdo, which I love that. Like Lori Petty is one of my favorite like 90s actresses, and even in 2000s, like I've been rewatching Masters of Horror, and she guest starred in one of the episodes, and I think she is an underutilized actress. But it's interesting to see her in a role where she is not playing like that punk rocker type character, and is just more grounded. But the whole plot kind of centers on this competition at times between Kit and Dottie, and like it kind of starts off just kind of like annoying sibling bullshit, but then it kind of spirals out of control.
Yeah, I would say we'll get there, but I have a lot of problems with the ending of this movie. And I'm not talking the epilogue. That's fine. That's just a bunch of old ladies pooping their Depends running bases. That's actually heartwarming. But the ending, not the epilogue, but the ending. But we'll get there. But yeah, it does revolve around there. And, I'd say it's a rivalry in one sense. It's that younger kid rivalry, and I hate to say it, but it's not a matter of, Dottie, Gina Davis, you've had these chances and I haven't. No, it's like she just is better than you. And it's one of those. It's one of those tough things when you're competitive. Is that like I could take the best player on my basketball team when I was in like 8th grade, and I could practice 12 hours a day. I'm not going to be better than him. He was just better than I am. No practice is going to catch me up. And I'm sorry for Kit. She's very good, but she's never going to be in Dottie's level. But a little inside baseball here, no pun intended, like pitchers don't really bat. And if they do, it's almost a guaranteed out unless it's a fluke hit. There's something about pitching that you don't focus on batting. So Dottie is very good in the field as a catcher, but she's also a great batter, as catchers tend to be. Everybody else in the field, you hope, is a good batter, but the pitchers don't really bat. So she's never going to live up as a pitcher to Dottie. That's why Babe Ruth was such a home run slugger. They moved him from pitching to the outfield because otherwise you're not going to, hone your batting skills, babe.
But I do think it's worth mentioning that baseball is only one aspect that Kit competes with Dottie in. Like at the beginning of this movie, after we get the kind of flashback section where we're introduced to Dottie, we're introduced to Kit and their life on the farm. Even Kit says to Dottie, she's like, "Oh yeah, when mom and dad introduce you to people, it's here's my amazing daughter, and this is Dottie's sister, Kit." Yeah. Like it's Kit's always been in the lacking, and she says it like, "Oh yeah, you're prettier, and you got married first, and all the things in life Kit complains about." And like, I don't know, like I also get it too, like, John, I don't think you never had a younger sibling. Like, your sister's older than you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so like I have two younger siblings, and a lot of the things I saw were competition that I would see between myself and my brothers to some degree. Not necessarily to this extreme, because honestly, like, we played sports, kind of. I played baseball for 2 years. I hated it. I sucked at it. And
what position?
I don't even know, dude. It was like non-competitive, but I had
they put you in right field, huh?
They put me in right field. Yeah, they put me in right field. I hated it. I honestly, like, I really did. And the team members I had on it were assholes. Because they took it more seriously, and they honestly should have been on more competitive. But my point is, like, my brother Mark, he actually did play baseball in the same sort of non-competitive thing, but he was actually really good. And we never competed on the baseball thing because, like, I didn't give a shit after 2 years. But like, as he was a younger brother, like, there was always a little bit of that competition. So like, a little bit of that rang true to me as like, okay, I get this. But it just kind of is a thing where, like, Kit, in my opinion, puts everything on Dottie, and it's like, dude, your life being not what it is isn't your sister's fault.
Especially since Gina Davis's character, Dottie shows no signs of being like manipulative or competitive or cruel. No, she's like perfect to the kid.
She's, I would say, altruistic and pretty much grounded compared to everyone else. Like, even everyone else in the team is like, we're going to go to a roadhouse and hang out with a bunch of dudes, get fucking blasted. Yeah. And Dottie's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You guys do that, but I'm not doing that. Because ultimately, she is the best person in the league. She's the most grounded and most rational person, which is why it makes sense that she's also the one who only is there for one season, and that's it.
And yeah, speaking of that, one of the I think this movie has what I call like the true lies syndrome, where it's like a movie's about one thing and then it becomes about another thing, and then it gets back to what it was about at the end. And if people know True Lies, they know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah.
But the movie is about sibling rivalry. Then it becomes about saving the league because the numbers are down, and then it goes back to the sibling rivalry at the end. And
somewhere baseball's in there. There's baseball somewhere in there. But I do find it funny, John, that this movie is the least baseball of baseball movies.
That's why I picked it. Yeah, I don't think you have to like baseball. There's a documentary series, to divert a little bit, called 30 for 30. And I would tell anybody, look, these are documentaries about sports, but some of them are very like bizarre and human interest pieces. And I would tell you, I guarantee I can find a 30 for 30 for every non-sports fan that they'd still be entertained by. Because not every one of them is about like, the competition of Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, the 80s Celtics versus Lakers. Like, no, there's some like, one guy conned his way into owning the New York Islanders, and it's about a con job. It's not about hockey. And I'd be like, I think anybody could find that interesting. But yeah, with this movie, I do think that they do find that very good ground of it, still having basis in baseball. I'll give an example. The initial batting lineup is perfect baseball batting lineup. You have your catcher is batting first, then basically, the number 2 and I can't remember who's number 4. I think it's Madonna is bats first. I think Rosie's second. And then Gina Davis, who is their cleanest batter, is batting third, which you want. And then you want your cleanup hitting fourth, which was what? Dolores? Is that her name?
Are you talking about Marla?
Marla, yeah.
Marla's the best batter.
Marla is the best batter, which is your cleanup hitter. That's your fourth hitter. And I'm like, they did their homework. They understand how to create a batting lineup. And obviously Kit is the 9th batter because she's the pitcher. So I'm like, they knew what they were doing out there. So if you like baseball, you could see the time they put in there. Unlike the Mighty Ducks.
Well, I was going to say, like, I find it interesting. Like, if you compare this movie to one of my favorite baseball / sports movies, and that is the Major League Series. Like 1 and 2. I look at them both as a package deal. That is more baseball than this movie is. Like, there's way more baseball in that film than there is in this one. And I think it lends itself to like the fact that this is baseball is a vehicle for other things the themes that this movie is trying to talk about. Do we want to talk a little bit about those different themes? Yeah. So I think the first one is, it's in the midst of World War II. So it's the whole idea that there's sexism at play, but it's like, almost weird kind of how they're framing the sexism in this. Like, you have a really great scene where there's newsreel footage of the owners of these baseball teams like coming together saying like, oh, well, the boys are going over there, they're fighting over there, and what's going to happen to baseball? And you introduce to this character Mr. Harvey, who is basically a stand-in for Wrigley, who I guess was the Wrigley gum magnet, because this is based on like real things. Obviously they fictionalized characters, but there really was a league like this, and this sort of thing did actually happen. But you're introduced to the concept of women playing baseball, and it's against the backdrop of, oh yeah, they're gonna be basically eye candy for people who didn't go to across the Atlantic or to the Pacific to get people.
For all the fellas. Yeah, all the fellows with fallen arches and kids. Yeah, come here and look at them bimbos trying to play baseball. Yeah.
And I find it funny that like you've got that contrasting with this radio announcer who is talking about how women playing baseball is making them masculine. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But it's an interesting dynamic because you've got these contrasting viewpoints on women playing baseball happening at the exact same time. This radio announcer is talking about the masculinization of women and how, oh, the boys come back, they're not going to recognize the women that come back because, oh, they're doing things.
They're riveting. Like
they're
Rosie.
riveting. Yeah. and even like the league itself tries to be like, yeah, no, we're countering that by making you do like elocution lessons and some sort of like, fine, like almost like finishing school shit.
Yeah.
because
pinky in the air.
we can't have them just play baseball. We have to make them ladies. And I'm just like, really?
And I do love like lines like Madonna, like, where the hell am I supposed to put my cigarettes in there? Like for the skirts that they're supposed to wear.
And they're like, there will be no cigarettes, there will be no drinking, and there will be no men. Yeah, sure. Let's see how long that lasts. By the way, no one would ever tell men that.
No.
Ever.
No.
Ever. But yeah, the sexism in this is pretty palpable.
Well, also the underlying thing of like, hey, ladies, you can have jobs, until the men come back, and that's blatantly message around right around the end of the second act. Like, oh, so what? All these women bust their ass for you, and then they're just going to have to step aside when the men come back to play baseball. And, and the guy's like, well, what else are we supposed to do? They're ball players. They're common by their war heroes. And, kind of brings up the whole idea that like maybe there could be a spawning of a different league, which is, where it does end up.
Well, what's interesting is you do see an evolution in the character of Ira Lowenstein, who was basically like the general manager of this league, and who like started off like, you're basically just supposed to be eye candy that plays baseball. That's it. And when Gary Marshall, who plays Walter Harvey, says like, oh yeah, we're canceling this, and they did a good job, but we're done. He's the one, Lowenstein's the one who's like, you guys don't get it. Like, you don't get it. This is a product. These girls are amazing. And they're way better than you ever could have possibly imagined, because you had to see that. So, like, you do see an evolution with even his take on it, going from very much in the sexist kind of mindset to, no, they actually have amazing talent that you just don't see anywhere.
And eventually they're going to win the audience over, which is the whole point of the movie. They go from like 7 people there to watch a sideshow to, sold out crowds by the time we get to the playoffs. And
I got a question about that. Do you think they lean into the sideshow aspect a little bit to try to get people to show up?
I think they do, in a sense of like getting their attention to begin with. Like I think of like, Trish Stratus and Lita, if you're an Attitude Era wrestling fan, like first they had to come out and show their tits and ass, but then if you stuck around long enough, you could see they could wrestle, And so Gina Davis had to catch a pop-up by doing a split on the ground and go, wow, look at that lady. Look what she can do. She's flexible. But then it's like, hey, actually, I stuck around and apparently these ladies can play ball. I had to kill some time. I had to take my mom 2 hours up north, and I didn't have anywhere to go while she was getting she was doing things at her office. So I just popped in the good old Edinburgh Hotel and Bar in my hometown. I just was sipping a beer, watching, Sports Center, trying to mind my own business at a bar. But then one of those, like what I call professional bar flies comes in, the kind of guy that just rests his hands on his stomach, and like the 20-year-old bartender knows his name, knows exactly what beer he wants. He wants an
His name was it like Al or Bob or Jimbo? Yeah. One of those names.
Carl. Yeah.
Carl. And,
yeah. But yeah, just sits there, farts in his bar stool, and just comments on things. And he's one of those guys that will just talk out loud about observations he's made, and doesn't really have anybody's eye. He just starts talking, and he goes, I was watching the ESPN2 last night. Again, he's not really talking about it. He's like, and they had ladies football on there. That was amazing. These ladies could play. I'm like, dude, it's 2026.
It's 2026. I'm pretty sure that they can play.
But he was just baffled. Like he saw like a gorilla painting at the zoo. Like women on a football pad just blew his mind. And he's like, he's talking to nobody. And I'm like, well, I guess that's what happens when you're a 59-year-old guy who's coming here and got in the same 3 iron cities every day after doing whatever he's doing for
the last
30 years.
He got an iron. He got some. Yeah. He drank some irons. Yeah, but I mean the sexism is kind of palpable in this, but I do think that they, kind of to your point, like they lean into the sideshow aspect to a point to just get people in. And I mean, but there's like this montage where even like Madonna's like, oh, what if I have my tits pop out? That might get people. And it's like, okay.
Her character though.
Well, it did. Like she was basically like a go-go dancer beforehand, or she was some kind of dancer. Who funniest thing with her is when she's reading smut to Shirley, who can't read, trying to teach her to read with reading smut. But getting back to some things that I really want to talk about here, I think it's worth talking about. I really miss comedy Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's. I'm just gonna pick one scene out in particular.
There's so many, John. There's so many good scenes with him.
Well, see, the scene like that everyone remembers when they quote this movie is "There's no crying in baseball," and that's a great scene. But my favorite is the follow up later in the movie when he has to chastise the same character. I'm forgetting her name.
Still, Doris.
Doris, yeah, because she made the same mistake
Dolores,
again. Yeah. Dolores again. She made the same mistake again, and his face trying to control his rage because he's like, I need a different approach, and that's good salesmanship. You know, I need to drop the ladder and take a different, or drop the rope, take a different approach to how I confront her. But you can see him seething.
I'm gonna try to reenact it, okay, for video and audio audience. I'm gonna try to reenact this, okay. So he basically goes, okay, come here. You're missing the cutoff man. So maybe we could fix that before next season. Keep in mind that this is the last game. This is the last game of the season. Oh my God. But I think it's so funny because if you talk to someone who maybe didn't grow up in this time period, they might not know that Tom Hanks was a really good comedic actor up until, I would say, this movie. Because I think this movie is kind of like the dividing line between dramatic Tom Hanks, which came in with like Forrest Gump and Apollo 13, and comedic Tom Hanks, which is back before this, and that's more like Joe versus the Volcano and even Dragnet.
The Burbs, yeah.
The Burbs.
Yeah, Bachelor Party, all that.
Comedic
the problem is,
Tom
like,
Hanks.
A lot of the problem was that a lot of Tom Hanks's comedic roles were crap, you know, like Turner and Hooch. But
you shut your mouth.
Although I love
Turner and Hooch. I haven't seen it in like 10 years, but I it's a good movie.
But yeah, he kind of owes his whole career to Penny Marshall, because the two movies that sprung him really went from he's just that guy to star were Big and A League of Their Own, both Penny Marshall movies. And then that was, like you said, that was the bridge to Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Castaway, you know. So yeah, it was those two comic movies showed that, like, oh, hey, he can be funny, but he can be sincere as well. And that kind of took him to the stratosphere of A-list Hollywood movie stars. But
I mean, some amazing scenes in this. Obviously, we reenacted one just now, but like, I love his interactions with Stillwell. You might also know him as Francis when he's his grown-up version. Francis! From Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But like, when he throws the mitt at his face and just, you know, you're gonna lose, clobbers him, and just busts out laughing. I still, even like when I was rewatching it last night, I still laugh because it's so good. Like, I miss comedic Tom Hanks. He even has some one-liners in here that are just so funny. Like you mentioned the one, you know, that comes after there's no crying in baseball. But even when he's talking to the umpire and says, you know, you look like a penis with a tiny hat on, you know, like, and even he's writing an autograph to some kid and says, avoid the clap Jimmy Dugan.
That's good advice.
That's good advice. But, you know, he has so many of these great one-liners, and he does so great in this role. But he also has some really, like, dramatic scenes filled with heart. Like, I think his interactions with Gina Davis, where he is telling her, like, you don't get how good you really are. Mm-hmm. And the last conversation he really has with her when she's about ready to leave to go back to Oregon with her husband, and he's like, it's supposed to be hard. Like, that is such a great scene. And it shows like his dramatic chops coming through, that he can balance both.
Yeah, this movie has a great balance between like comedy and dramatic moments that you don't really get anymore. I was oddly thinking of I don't even know what made me think of this, but just the current state of like comic book movies, and it's like they're either they went from super serious to complete comedies, and I'm like, can't we find a balance between both of those? And if anything, which we'll probably throw out there as a bonus spoiler alert, the new Spider-Man movie I thought had a good balance of those things, but we're not here to talk about.
Not here to talk about that.
But no, yeah, this is 1992 for you. You have a great balance between laugh out loud stuff, but really sincere character moments, and there's a point. The reason that these ladies are playing baseball is that all their husbands and all the men are off fighting WW2, and a lot of the women in the league have husbands overseas, and there is a scene, right before the fucking playoffs,
Betty Spaghetti,
or World Series,
yeah,
that Betty Spaghetti, or there's a letter that one of the husbands has been killed overseas, and then Tom Hanks, as the manager, has to go up to her and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, Betty, it was yours. It had to be somebody."
Oh, John, it's not even that. I mean, one, the way that they handle the reality that these women's husbands could be killed, is done so well, because it's mentioned about the telegram when they're on the bus. Like Gina Davis and Tom Hanks are talking about how her husband and how he is in the war, and getting the telegrams, and then we get a scene towards the back half of the movie where our brain is totally fixed on the playoffs, and it kind of takes you completely out of it and makes it grounded in something other than baseball, that these women have lives outside of it. And it gets really real. And the telegram person who's like, "Oh, geez, I don't know whose name this is. I hate these War Department ones. And you figure they tell you that when their husband dies," and it's just insensitive shit. And that's when, Tom Hanks's character Jimmy Dugan really shines above being that asshole character that he is through most of the movie, and actually gives a shit and cares. And kicks the fucker out of the locker room, and then gives it to Betty Spaghetti, and you find out that her husband's dead. But it does kind of take you out of the kind of fantasy element, the run up of the World Series, to some being real.
Yeah, it grounds you in why we're here in the first place. Historically speaking. And I noticed last night in the rewatch that I look for little things in the background to kind of give hints. And I did see in the background there, it said 1943. And I thought that was a perfect year for this movie, because it was not till December of 41 that we declared war to begin with. So really the war kind of began in 42. And we're taking a year as America to get our footing into a war that's already been raging for years. It would be about 1943 that a lot of businesses would be thinking of ways of like workarounds to keep, let's keep making as much money as we possibly can, even though the boys are off fighting. But it also gives the league enough time to have at least 2 more seasons before, the men come home in, fall of 45. So I thought planning it in 43 was a perfect timing for this movie, which is probably historically accurate. But even if it wasn't, that's a good time to summer of 43, because we're right in the heart of the war then.
Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about how much we love this movie. Are there things, John, that you don't like about this film? The things that you're like, why'd you do that?
So there's only one thing, and should I go to the ending of this movie?
I mean, you can, if you want to. We're not doing a plot point by plot point one this episode. I think we kind of figured that one out.
So obviously the whole movie, as we mentioned, although I really think it's more about Hanks and Gina Davis's characters and Hanks's character development and arc more than it is about Kit and Dottie, but it's about their rivalry. And it gets to the point where Dottie is fed up and she asks for a trade, but they're not going to trade their best player. So they end up trading her sister because they realize that the problem is between the two of them. And so Kit gets sent to, the second best team in the league.
Racing Bells.
Yeah. And she's going to be pitching for them. And it gets down to Kit's the last at bat. You have 2 outs. All they need is they're up by 1. Our heroes are up by one run. They got a runner on. Kit actually hits a nice line drive. The first person scores, ties the game up. Kit decides to not stay on third. She's charging home plate, and this is baseball. The catcher is allowed to cut off home plate, and you're allowed to just absolutely fucking destroy the catcher. They have to understand that they're going to get their ass lit up by the runner. It's the trade-off you do if you're cutting off home.
That's why you've got the padding and everything on you.
Yeah.
It's not just for the balls getting thrown at you. It's for this shit.
But remember, this game was invented in the 1800s, folks.
Yeah.
But Kit charges Dottie, and if you drop the ball as the catcher, the person's safe, even if they don't touch home plate. And I'm still not convinced that Dottie didn't purposely drop the ball and blow the game, and I hate that so much. If she just,
you think she blew it on purpose?
There's a chance. I think that would be what Dottie would do. I think, to help make her sister feel important, in the sense too that she's not coming back to the league, but Kit is, and she needs to give Kit that moment of catharsis.
She didn't know that at the time, though.
I think there's a 50% chance she dropped the ball on purpose, and I hate that because she let down her team for her sister.
I don't think she dropped the ball on purpose.
You think Kit just came into her own?
Kit, okay, keep in mind Kit's mental state at this time. Okay. Let's keep this in mind here. Kit just got a ball beamed at her head from her sister. Like, that happened prior to this. In the inning prior, Dottie literally is like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I'm not protecting you anymore. So she's already in the mindset of, I'm going to tell, I'm going to, one hit a line drive straight at your head, to let you know, like, I'm not protecting you, that I am in this for baseball. And on top of that, when she's talking to Helen and saying, like, okay, she can't hit the high ones, that's her saying, like, I don't care anymore. So I totally think that Kit's mental state at this point was like, I'm going to run over this woman. I don't care. And you got to figure enough force coming from her running that. I think she just dropped it because of the force of her. Like Kit was in Hulk mode. Okay.
Kit smash.
Kit smash. But I don't think she dropped it on purpose, because a lot of things would point to, like, why would Dottie do that? Like, you could say, oh, well, she wanted to preserve the relationship with her sister. Okay. Yeah, maybe. But why would she come back to play the last game then, if there's a possibility that she could beat her sister? You know what I mean?
I think it's because a movie needed to happen. Like, if we're talking just like narratively speaking.
Oh yeah, a movie needed to happen.
Gina Davis needs to be there for the last game. But
yeah.
So if this was true events, I think we could make that argument. But so she needs to be there for the climax. But also, I think narratively speaking, it was never Dottie. Even though Dottie had the raw talent, it was never her thing. She never wanted to be a pro ball player. She was always going to leave. She knew Kit loved it more than her. She knew Kit needed it more than her. So I think, narratively speaking, that there is a chance that she dropped it on purpose. And I think the movie purposely keeps it vague. I don't think the movie
I like the fact that the movie purposely keeps it vague, because if you did, like, think of it this way, John, like, if you had, like, a moment where we get a close-up of Dottie's eyes in the mask, seeing Kit run, and, like, her eyes closing as she's coming, that would have been a dead giveaway. Like, oh yeah, she's gonna fucking throw it for her. But we don't get that.
Yeah.
And I actually like that. I think it's okay. And I think it's okay to have things that are ambiguous. But for me, I think she actually just dropped it because she dropped it. I don't think she did it because she was trying to, give Kit a win. Because wouldn't that kind of cheapen Kit's win in the first place?
If she ever admitted that's why she did it, yeah, her whole team would fucking hate her forever.
Her sister would hate her forever.
Her sister would hate her for it, and the other team would hate her. Like, oh god, that's such a tainted victory we have.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it was a legit, like, she dropped it. I don't think it was like she was planning on dropping it.
Yeah.
That's my thought though. Now, one scene that I don't like, and I question why it's there, is the Roadhouse scene. I don't know why that's there.
I'll defend that one. I think we need.
I know it's there for Marla to meet Nelson and get married. Like, I know that's why it's there. Like, I know from like a story structure, but like the whole scene is just, let's have people do their best zoot suit jumping and jiving dance, and let's show Madonna dancing a whole bunch.
I think we needed a break from our 3 sets. We had the baseball mound, we have the place that they stay at, and the bus.
Yeah,
and I think we needed a new, fresh coat of paint. We needed a new location for the characters.
I just think it drags. Like it drags.
Yeah.
Like the whole time that like I'm the whole time going like, okay, what's happening? Like for me, I would have loved it if we cut back to maybe Dottie at the hotel and like you realize that, you know, Lowenstein's coming to you know, get him. Like having that parallel action would be kind of nice. We don't get that though. We just get Dottie showing up giving us exposition. I'm like, is there a better way that we could have made this work? And you're telling me you didn't shoot that? Like, come on. I just think it just feels to me like Penny Marshall was like, hey, we've got all these people who are choreographed dancers. Why not we have them dance, have Madonna dance. Let's get a lot of close-ups of Madonna, get them not playing baseball, but really let's just focus on Madonna the whole time because why not? It's 1992. Literally, Madonna at this time was at her peak.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that. This is Madonna at her peak.
It's funny you should say that. I was walking through Target the other day and I happened to walk by like the records, the LPs, and like Madonna has a new one out, and I almost like laughed to myself. I'm like, Madonna still makes records? I thought she was
still
dead.
Does. No, she's not retired. She won't. But like if you're thinking about like when was Madonna at her peak, it was this time period.
Yeah.
You know, previous year she was in Dick Tracy, for Christ's sake, you know, and contributed
2 years
to the soundtrack.
Earlier.
Was it 2 years earlier? Was it 90?
Yeah, it was 90, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like this is still within her peak. I don't know if her sex book came out yet.
It was around that time.
Right around this time.
I remember because I went into kindergarten with a big plastic orange Dick Tracy backpack. I had this kid.
I had the Dick Tracy lunchbox.
Oh, nice! It had the thermos in it.
It had the thermos in it.
Yeah.
Yes. We're nerds.
I had my Hulk Hogan lunchbox.
I did not have a Hulk Hogan lunchbox.
It's actually right back there.
It's right back there. But I don't know. I just felt like this scene with the Roadhouse and like, why is this here? Other than to show like Marla drunk and singing to this guy Nelson.
See, Brian, for
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, like, I think that's the only reason why that scene is there.
You know, but for a guy who's like not into the specifics of baseball, I'm surprised you didn't appreciate this scene more.
Here's the thing. I don't like sports and or baseball, but I do enjoy sports movies from time to time. Like, I can enjoy those things. You can do that. Like, it's not one or the other. And as we talked about early in this episode, this movie is very light on baseball, like the actual technical side of baseball, but more on the characteristics of people. I do think it's interesting to point out that some people have pointed this as saying it is a very queer film. Do you feel that's the case, John?
Oh, I think I might be out of my.
I think we're both out of our depth on that.
Yeah. But so I'm sure it is, but I'm not sure I could speak to that.
Well, I know, like with the series that came out a couple years ago, they did go deeper into some of those aspects of it. Like really did. Like they based I I forget the woman's name, but she was in Broad City. I think her name's Abby. They based her character in a lot of that. The other thing that this movie really didn't touch a whole lot on was racism at that time. You have one scene. I'm
glad you mentioned that. I was thinking last night that I really wanted to hit on this, so I'm glad you brought it up.
One scene.
The problem is that when you go back in time and you glamorize certain pieces of our history, you have to acknowledge the darkness that is underlying there. Yeah. And this movie, it had one scene where just a woman, African-American woman on probably a grocery or errand run, just happened to pick up a ball and throws it really well. And they're like, wow, you can really throw. And she kind of gives her that 1992 look of maybe someday you'll realize that. And we can all be even and we have one water fountain instead of two. And it's it's not the greatest way to handle it, but I do appreciate that the movie at least acknowledged that it was the white women that got opportunities when the men went off to war.
Yes. And it's a thing that I wish that they would have done more with that. Again, the series does do more with that. If this isn't about the series itself, but it is worth mentioning just because it is kind of a remake of this movie to some degree. The series does go more into some of these complex things. I also think part of that is because it is looking at it through 2020 eyes. It's looking at it through that lens. So there are moments where you're talking about race and talking about people who are queer and all those things. And this movie in 1992 wasn't going to touch it. Just wasn't going to touch it.
No, we just got Clinton in the White House. Okay, we weren't ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, when this movie was in production, John, I mean, it was Bush in the White House.
Yep.
So, but I mean, that is, if you want to point out, what are some things that are wrong with this, it doesn't really talk about race in the film, especially given the time period. This is Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay? This is the deep South.
The reason they're the peaches.
They're the reason they're peaches. It's the fucking South. Okay? In the 40s.
Yeah. One thing, too, we talk about things that maybe don't hold up so much. I have no problem with them. No, granted, I grew up in the 90s, and it's hard to offend me. But a lot of these jokes, for better or worse, I don't know. I just don't think they would be done today. A lot of jokes about women's body size and attractiveness, and I don't think you'd see those today.
Well, no, you wouldn't. I mean, one, Marla ends up being kind of the butt of every ugly joke in this movie.
Yeah, like the newsreel. It's she's the only one who has a wide shot, and they go, "What a player!"
There's Marla Hooch. What a player. She's in the distance because the camera's not getting close to her. And even we didn't talk about him yet, but John Lovitz, who I actually like John Lovitz in this. I think he's funny. And you could say it was just John Lovitz doing his shtick. I don't care.
Yeah. That's why they cast him.
Shit. I don't know anyone else who could play that character other than John Lovitz.
It's like you have a script and you go, hey, we need somebody who smashes watermelons. I think I know a guy.
That Gallagher guy. Let's get him.
Yeah. It's between him and Laurence Olivier.
Yeah. I think I'd still go with Gallagher. But yeah, even John Lovitz's reaction to Marla is God, man. And he's doing it right in front of the girl's father.
Yeah.
Which I mean, asshole. Here's the thing. As girl dad, I would have decked that guy in the face. I literally would have pow right in the kisser.
Well, instead he goes up and he goes, hey, mister, don't be putting the blame on her. Cause I raised her alone and made her ugly.
Yeah. It's I don't think so wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You're blaming yourself for how unattractive your daughter is?
I raised her to be a boy.
Yeah, that part I'm just what the fuck, man? Again, as a girl dad, if you did that shit to me, I'd sock you in the face.
Yeah.
But I guess in 1943, they weren't talking about that sort of thing. But yeah, I think there are problematic things when it comes to some of the jokes in here. Everything that Tom Hanks says though is fucking hilarious. I don't care.
Yeah, it's funny. This movie, I said it has true life syndrome. Now I'm going to say it has Back to the Future syndrome, and that's Gina Davis is perfect and has nowhere to go to grow, and it's the side character of Tom Hanks who has the arc and has the need to grow and to learn and evolves. So it's kind of like how Back to the Future is.
Disagree with that.
Well, I think Back to the Future is George McFly's story. It's not Marty's. And I really think that this movie, if you talk about a character that actually evolves, I really think this is Tom Hanks' story more than it is Gina Davis's.
I disagree. Okay. I think every character has an arc in this. And you mentioned earlier in the episode that everyone has their moment, right? Like even the other women on the team that are not Gina Davis, that they're not Lori Petty, that are not these people, they have their moments. Rosie O'Donnell has a moment on the bus where she's talking about how people thought she was weird and didn't think she was really like a girl, that, and that her boyfriend, who's kind of weird looking, was an asshole to her. Like, that's an arc there. That's a moment there that she gets. Madonna gets a moment. But I do think that Gina Davis does have an arc where she moves from someone who really, in my opinion, is kind of doing baseball as a means of supporting her sister Kit. Like, I think that's the reason why she does it. I don't think she necessarily wants to do it for the sake of, I want to play baseball. She grows to love it, though. That's how good she is. Because if she was just doing it to support Kit, she wouldn't be as good as she is. And then there's kind of these ebbs and flows where she goes from, I'm trying to do this to support Kit, to, okay, now I'm doing this for me, but also supporting Kit. Kit leaves right around the same time that her husband shows up. And then it's, I'm doing things to support him. And her arc really is coming back on that last game and saying, I'm doing this for me. And again, I'm getting to my point of why I think she didn't drop the ball intentionally. Because if you go by that arc, her coming back was, I'm doing the game for me. And she does. She plays her heart out. That's why the announcer says, like, no, Dottie Henson's the player of the game. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's her arc. And then even letting Kit go is her letting her exist on her own. And, shine her on her own rather than being outshined by herself.
And that's funny. We think today about, like, we have cell phones and social media and access to anybody at any time. Her letting her sister go, they could go fucking years upon years at a time not seeing each other now.
Yeah, people don't understand that.
My aunt lived in, like, Seattle, Washington, and on the West Coast most of her adult life. I saw my Aunt Carol every 5 to 7 years. It's just she would visit for a long weekend and then she would go away for years at a time.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. Or you would, the only response you would get is like a phone call or maybe a letter.
At the holidays.
Yeah. Phone call the holidays or birthday and, presents sent to you and be like, oh, who's this from? Oh, this is from your aunt. I mean, that, up until recently, I, hadn't really talked to my aunt and my cousins up until the past couple of years. But now we're in regular communication. So, I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like in the 40s, you weren't making long distance phone calls. You were writing letters like that.
I got a telegram. Yeah.
I got a telegram. And that was it. And maybe you would see them, maybe if you're lucky, at the end at the holidays, but you probably didn't see them for a while. So like when you do kind of see them at the end where they're now older, you get the idea that like, oh yeah, they probably haven't been on speaking terms a whole lot through their adult life, and then they're, as they've gotten older. Like you get this idea that like, oh yeah, they're coming together as sisters again.
Yeah, because when we do go to the epilogue, they kind of look at each other like, holy shit, it's probably been 12 years since we've seen each other. Yeah.
Which gives me to one point that we haven't talked about before we get to reviews. This movie has the best fucking casting for age-forward actors I have ever seen. Like, it blows my fucking mind how old Gina Davis looks exactly like young Gina Davis.
Well, isn't Gina Davis the only one that's actually in makeup?
I mean,
I'm gonna check IMDb.
She's not in makeup. That is an actress. Her name is Lynn Cartwright.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's older. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This has the best older person casting I have ever seen in any movie, period. Like, it's one of those things that I think people used to forget this because we now exist in the world of CGI where actors can be aged and de-aged at a rate where you don't really need another actor to come in and play them at a younger or older age. But back before then, we used to actually get actors who looked like the main actor, either aged up or aged down. And this movie knocks it out of the fucking park. Like, Lynn Cartwright looks exactly like an older version of Gina Davis. Even the characters like Madonna and Lori Petty and Rosie O'Donnell, their versions all look like older versions of their characters. It's uncanny. Like, I think the best one is Ellen. Helen, who's like she's the blonde bombshell person on the team.
Yeah.
They have her, who's played by Anne Ramsey, and her older version is Barbara Pillivan, who literally looks like an older version of her. Like, it is some of the best casting I've ever seen. It's insane. Absolutely fucking insane.
Hopefully they got the casting Oscar for this thing.
I mean, the casting person behind that, who did that? I'm looking it up right now as I see. Oh, I can't find him.
But yeah, I'm totally with you. The fact that I even thought,
you thought she was in makeup, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the voice is uncanny too. I don't know if they ADR'd it or if she just also sounds a lot like Gina Davis.
My guess is they might have ADR'd her voice. I think they ADR'd Lynn Cartwright and put Gina Davis in it. I might be wrong on that, but either way, like, everyone that they picked for the epilogue portion where it is the older versions of these characters is just so spot on. It's crazy. Yeah. And you never see any movie do that anymore. Like, they always are like, let's just make them older, make them younger. Don't need to go get an actor who looks like that person, aged up or aged down. But with it said, John, do you want to get to some reviews?
Oh, I'm intrigued by this. Yes.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, the review section of our podcast is where I go ahead and I pull some reviews either from Letterboxd or from you, the viewer and or listener. If you want to get in on the review action here, you can go and subscribe to our newsletter. The link for it is in the description of this episode. You can then comment and tell us your thoughts on the movies that we're going to be covering in the future. And with it said, John, let's get to review number 1. Madonna is teaching the illiterate woman to read erotica is the same thing as being an adjunct English professor.
I'll take your word for it.
I guess so. I mean, John, you and I are both adjunct professors, and I can't see us ever using erotica as an example.
Well, I think it's like if you meet them at something that they may find interested, and obviously what grown woman hormones wouldn't want to read erotica. It's better than teaching her go dog go or whatever,
Yeah.
That is. She's like, I want to learn these words so I can see what happens.
It is a very funny scene because they're in the back of the bus, and you clearly know that Shirley can't read, as it's clearly expressed early in the film, and she's like sounding out these words in the erotica, and she doesn't quite get what she's describing up until
milky,
breast. Oh. And Madonna's like, keep reading, it gets good. So it is a very funny scene. But I mean, that fits the character, right? It fits Madonna's character. I mean, a lot of people like don't quite get like Madonna can act. She's actually pretty decent, you know, in the roles that she's picked.
She does need the right material and the right director.
She does need the right material and the right director. I still think her best role was in Dick Tracy. That's my favorite because it's fucking Dick Tracy. But all right, let's get to review number 2. What a great movie. How do they get older actresses who looked alike the young versions? I mean, we just talked about this. It's some of the best fucking casting,
great casting
that you will ever see. And again, like, you could rely on CGI. They didn't do that. You know, you mentioned Back to the Future, John. I mean, one of the things that they did in that film, in Back to the Future Part 2, was they slapped on a shit ton of makeup on actors to age them up. And it always looked phony. Even though it was great for the time, it always did look a little phony.
It fit that universe because it was kind of cartoonish. But I know what you mean. Yeah, when you put the old people makeup on. Oh, I got to say, and I don't know if it's because the cameras were grainier back then, but the old man makeup on Orson Welles and all the other guys in Citizen Kane holds up pretty well, which is funny because that movie was 40 years before Back to the Future.
I mean, what they were doing back then was using just like the stretch method. Like that's what they were doing, was just like stretching, throwing something on to probably collodion and make it look like he had wrinkles. So it was more theatrical makeup, and totally because the resolution wasn't there either. You know, so you've got that going for you. All right, let's go to review number 3. There was something so uniquely devastating about how Dottie never even thought about continuing baseball when her husband returned. Yeah.
It's always kind of that kind of makes it a tragedy. And I always thought that one scene with Tom Hanks was interesting when they're heading back on the bus and he kind of gives her a look like, you're giving it all up for that. Like, not that there's anything wrong with him, but he's just very vanilla and boring. And like, you know, you could have been Pullman. Somebody. Yeah.
Poor guy got sniped. Okay. And he survived. He's fine. He's a manager. He's a manager at a dairy farm. Okay. He's not Jimmy Dugan.
Yeah.
And you do get the vibe that like there is some chemistry like between Gina Davis and Tom Hanks. Like it's unspoken. But like you can see like there's something there. The movie doesn't hit you over the head with it, but it feels more elevated than just coach and player.
Even though he doesn't deserve her, he's kind of like, you deserve more than just some dairy manager, you know?
Yes.
And it's like, but it's not you, Jimmy.
It's not you, Jimmy. It's not you. You reach for a beer every time or a drink every time, and then he's giving a Coke, and he's like, he loves Coke. All right, let's go to our last review of the episode. Who is a negative one. Fuck Kit. She should not have won, had no character development, and had one of the most unsatisfyingly and unearned victories in cinema history. Go Peaches. Fuck Racine. Completely ruined an otherwise wonderful film. Tell me how you really feel, dude.
I mean, I think that how the movie had to end, as Brian and I discussed it, whether you believe one way or another, that's how the movie had to wrap up. But I will say, if you know, the third base coach should have been screaming at her. She should have never taken off from third to home. She should have been out.
Oh, yeah. Even I know that. Even I know that one. No, I mean, Kit had to have her moment in the sun. She did. Like, I'm sorry. That's if the bulk of this film is just this sibling rivalry between Kit and Dottie and how Kit feels, Kit had to have her moment when she's getting cheered. That was her arc. Okay?
Yeah.
Dottie had her arc when she showed up for the last game. That's it. And even old version of Dottie had her arc because if you remember, we didn't talk about this, but in the beginning of the film, she doesn't want to go. Like she's not really like into this. She's like, it was just a time in my life, and it's no big deal. It's like not that big. It was something that we did, and she only did for one season. It's not the big deal. So really, for Dottie as a character, meeting her in modern time, her arc is understanding that no, this is important. That there's more. It was more than just like one time. It was a time that you were truly alive and doing the thing that you loved, and you were around people that you grew to basically your family for that time period, and you were never really as close to your sister at any other time other than that point. And I think that's where for her it ends up becoming kind of an arc in completion. But no, I don't hate Kid. I do find her annoying at certain times, but she needed to have that ending. That was what had to happen.
Yeah.
For that character. But good episode, John. Final thoughts on A League of Their Own.
I had forgotten, and made me wish I hadn't gone and seen Three Ninjas. Well, no, I don't regret it. I was 7. but no, just how really great this movie is. You don't get like as tight and perfect as scripts these days as you did back then, and so many great characters, so many interesting arcs. The pacing's perfect. Everything is so good in this, and I even like the fat little spoiled dickhead kid who grows up to be the guy that Pee-wee bum rushed in his house. Yeah,
Francis
being there on behalf of his mom who passed away, and it's just like. A movie's done good when a fictionalized character you go, oh no, she died. It's like she's not real, but you have that empathy there. And but then the funny part too is somebody who's controlling him, like telling him, like, come along, Francis. Kind of like he never got out of being the spoiled child that needed taken care of, even as an adult. But yeah, it's just like it's so good, and I do recommend it to anybody that even if you're not a baseball fan, there is plenty of in here for you to enjoy as a non-baseball person.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. This is a fantastic film. Like, and you really don't see movies like this anymore. At least I don't see movies like this anymore. One, as we talked about before, the casting's amazing. Not only in the fact they were able to make the older generation look almost exactly like their younger counterparts, but just the fact that you've got a fantastic ensemble cast with some amazing actors at the time. Ones who blew up in other ways. Like we talked about, like Tom Hanks, literally after this movie, ended up doing movies like Philadelphia and Forrest Gump and all these movies that he's really built a pedigree on of being a dramatic actor. And this one, along with Big, kind of serves as that bridging gap between comedic and dramatic versions. But like Gina Davis at this time was really good. Lori Petty, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, all fantastic actors, all wrapped in one film. And again, I don't view it really as a baseball movie. I think it's got baseball in the wrapping, but it's really about, this group of women who came together to serve their country through baseball and kind of got to become their own family unit.
Yeah.
And sibling rivalry. It's a lot about sibling rivalry. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you have a brother or sister, you'll get it. But with it said, John, where can they find you at on the internet?
Over at the Facebook, the Instagram, and over at YouTube at JDubs Video Nasties. So make sure you put in the letter J space DUBS apostrophe S Video Nasties. You can find my page there. Got plenty of good stuff for you and a lot of good stuff coming around the corner.
Yep. And of course, if you have loved this podcast, please do me a favor and share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your favorite sports fan. you've got one somewhere in the friend group or in the family. You got one. And of course, if you've loved this podcast, please do me a favor and follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Go to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. You can follow us. We've got buttons that link you to every single app that we've got on. And if you click them, you can follow us so you never miss an episode. With that said, we will see you next time.
Out in the distance, the game's dragging on. There's strikes on the batter, and runners are on. Suddenly, everyone's looking at me. My mind is wondering, what could it be? I look up in the sky to see what can I see, and a baseball falls into my glove. I play right field. It's important to know. You got to know how to catch. You got to know how to throw. That's why I play in right field, way out where the dandelions grow. Pizza Hut likes to make sure that you know that they're a sponsor of Little League Baseball and everybody who's making it great. Making it great.
Bravo.